Since its release in 2013, it has earned a 7.3 rating on IMDb. Countless fans have hailed the downhill skateboarding scene as iconic. Some have commented, brilliant and motivating. Others feel that 7.3 is still underrated. One viewer said, in a busy world, Walter Mitty is our spirit animal. Many have been moved to tears, and some even found meaning in their lives. If you're feeling lost or anxious in your life right now, let's watch this story together. The protagonist, Walter, is a 42-year-old man who has been single all his life. For 16 years, he's been stuck in a monotonous job, earning just enough to support himself. One day, he overhears that Cheryl, his coworker and secret crush, has gotten divorced and joined a dating site. Walter secretly signs up too, only to find out he can't proceed because his profile is incomplete. When he calls customer service, they tell him he's missing details like interesting places he's visited or meaningful things he's done in life. Frustrated, Walter jokes that he's always stumbling, who saves people and even rescues his colleague's dog. The agent dryly responds that only useless men dream like that and advises him to fill in real-life experiences to attract women. Back at work, Walter learns that the magazine company he works for has been sold, and after the final print issue, it will transition to an online format. Panic sets in because for 16 years, he has been working in the basement, developing negatives sent by photographers around the world, something the new digital format won't require. To make matters worse, the famous photographer Sean has just sent in his last batch of negatives, with a note thanking Walter for his impeccable work over the years. Sean mentions that negative number 25 is the best photo he's ever taken and recommends it for the final cover of the magazine. Enclosed is also a wallet Sean gives to Walter, engraved with the company's motto, a line of words that once made all employees proud. And without a choice, Walter buys a ticket to Greenland. It's his first time traveling abroad. He rents a car and heads to the liveliest bar in town. There, after buying a drink, he ends up in a fight with a drunk man who, in a strange twist, turns out to be the man in Sean's photo, the thumb guy. He's a helicopter pilot and tells Walter that Sean left on a fishing boat but offers to fly Walter to meet him. Despite his fear of the ocean, Walter boards the helicopter, spurred by the thought of losing both his job and his chance with Cheryl. As the helicopter rises, Walter is awestruck by the view. It's a world he's never seen before, and in that moment, a new chapter of his life begins. Walter arrives on the ship, struggling through massive waves. A shark attacks him, and he fights it off using his briefcase. Though he survives, he learns Sean left for Iceland 4 hours earlier. Determined, Walter sets off in pursuit, arriving at the Icelandic port. A helpful sailor points him toward the local club. The cool breeze of Iceland washed away his anxiety, and for a brief moment, he felt as deeper for returning to save him, as it had likely saved his life. Later, at a fast food restaurant in Iceland, Walter calculated his expenses. His savings were almost gone. Feeling dejected, he called Cheryl from across the world, sharing his recent experiences. The conversation flowed into memories of their childhoods. Cheryl was intrigued, and this was the first time in years that Walter had truly opened up. At the end of the call, Walter returned to New York. His new boss once again demanded the photograph, and when Walter couldn't provide it, he was fired on the spot. He later learned that Cheryl had been laid off as well. Mustering his courage, Walter knocked on Cheryl's door, only for it to be answered by a man he didn't recognize. Surprised and heartbroken, Walter quietly placed the skateboard he had brought for Cheryl's son at the door and left, his spirit crushed. He had lost his money, his job, and even his chance at love. In his deep frustration, Walter threw his wallet into the trash and picked up the photo Sean had taken, scrutinizing it from every angle. Then he noticed something strange. The photo was of his mother's piano, with the exact same scratch as hers. Startled, he hurried to ask his mother about it. She explained that Sean had come by their house a week ago, asking many questions about Walter. She told him the piano had been a gift from Walter's father to her, and Sean had decided to photograph it. He had also shared his plans for upcoming shoots, first the volcano in Iceland, and then snow leopards in the Himalayas. As partners for 16 years, no matter what had happened, Walter knew he had to complete this final project. set. Sean packed his bags, ready for the next adventure. Interestingly, all his travel gear had been purchased 20 years ago, but he had never mustered the courage to take that first step. With a backpack on his shoulders, Walter began to trace the journey in his childhood notebook, leaving adult footprints where his childhood dreams once roamed. At the base of the Himalayas, they passed a waterfall clinging to the cliffs, where two guides waved branches in an ancient blessing ritual for the climbers. They crossed snow-covered mountains, trained along the cliffs, and had leaves for lunch in nature. Happiness is often simple. Traversing vast glaciers and enduring biting winds, climbing suit was a bright symbol of his fiery life. In the search for Sean, Walter seemed to have found himself. At the mountain ridge, Walter received a call from the dating site he had joined. Suddenly, someone behind him told him to quiet down. He turned around to see Sean, wrapped in a blanket, his camera focused ahead. Walter couldn't help but ask about the missing negative, number 25. Sean casually reveals that it was hidden in the wallet he gave Walter. Shocked, Walter realizes he had thrown it away. Sean brushes it off, expressing regret but saying the moment captured in the negative was beautiful. They then share a quiet moment watching a snow leopard. Sean doesn't take the photo.
When are you gonna take it?
Sometimes I don't. If I like a moment, me, personally, I don't like to have the distraction of the camera.
Preferring to savor the experience instead, Walter returns to New York, having one wild adventure after another. Sometimes doing your job well and living with integrity is just as remarkable. Life isn't saved by a single book, movie, or spontaneous trip. It's built moment by moment. Just live, work, and enjoy the little things. There's no need to prove yourself to anyone. In the end, Walter and Cheryl cross paths again, and they finally begin to understand each other. As they Walter Mitty, a man who looks as if he does nothing, is nothing, and is perceived as nothing, except for during his little fantasies in which he is a hero, but during these weird moments in which he dozes off, others write him off, until he finds a goal in life, which puts in him adventurous situations by accident, which transform him in the man he always was. A unique individual, an adventurer, a dreamer who fulfills his dreams and finds the appreciation he needs and deserves. But the appreciation doesn't come from others.
Thanks for watching. Like and comment on my video.